the man who helped bring down one of the most brutal regimes in history. His revolution was never about picking up weapons, but about freeing the minds of his oppressed brothers. This is the story of the birth of Black consciousness in South Africa. Like Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Biko became a martyr in the fight against a system built on racial segregation. His ideas, his life, and even his brutal death at the hands of the police echoed across the world, enduring through time as a source of inspiration in the pursuit of a more just society, where civil rights are not defined by the color of one's skin. He was born into a divided world, a world where the color of your skin determined where you could sit, where you could study, where you could live, and even how far you were allowed to dream. Apartheid was not just segregation, it was a system of total control. Separate bathrooms, separate benches, separate entrances. Every detail of daily life was designed to reinforce one message: inequality. In schools, that message became even more brutal. Black children were forced into overcrowded classrooms with limited resources, underqualified teachers, and an education system designed not to liberate, but to restrict. Meanwhile, white schools offered structure, quality, and opportunity. This was the environment that shaped Steve Biko. As a child, he lost his father, a loss that was not only emotional, but deeply structural. In a system already designed to weaken Black families, this meant growing up faster, maturing under pressure, and learning early that the world around him would not be fair. But something inside him refused to accept that as destiny. As a young man at university, Biko began to understand what many felt, but could not yet name. He realized that the true power of the system did not lie only in laws or weapons, but in the minds of the oppressed. And from that realization, a powerful idea was born. The most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. This was not just a phrase, it was a warning, a precise diagnosis of how oppression sustains itself. Apartheid survived because it convinced its victims of their own inferiority, and as long as that belief remained, no revolution would ever be complete. So Biko proposed something radical. Before freeing the body, you must free the mind. This was the birth of Black consciousness. He taught that the first step toward freedom is internal, that a person must recognize their own dignity, their own worth, their own humanity. That oppression only survives when it is accepted, even unconsciously, and the idea spread like fire. But with it came attention. The government began to target him. He was monitored, restricted, silenced, banned from speaking publicly, forbidden from moving freely. They tried to contain him, but his ideas had already crossed every barrier. Even without being present, his influence reached one of the most defining moments in history: the Soweto Uprising, June 16, 1976. Black students take to the streets in peaceful protest. They reject the forced use of Afrikaans, the language of the oppressor, as the medium of instruction in their schools. While white students were taught in English with access to the world, Black students were being controlled through language. This was not just about education, it was about domination. The march begins with hope, but it ends in tragedy. Government troops arrive, armed. No warning, no negotiation. They open fire. Shots against students, against teenagers, against children. What began as protest becomes massacre. Hundreds are killed or wounded. The streets of Soweto become a stage of violence the world could no longer ignore. Images cross borders. The true face of apartheid is exposed, and in that moment, the beginning of the end had already begun. 1 year later, the regime strikes directly at the symbol behind the awakening. Steve Biko is arrested. What follows reveals the full brutality of the system. He is interrogated, beaten, and severely tortured. His body cannot withstand the injuries. Even in critical condition, he is transported long distances without proper medical care. He dies in police custody in 1977. The government attempts to minimize the truth, offering vague explanations, trying to conceal the violence, but the world is watching now. Biko's death sparks global outrage. International leaders condemn the regime. Pressure builds. The silence is broken permanently. His funeral draws thousands, a crowd that does not mourn only a man, but reaffirms a movement. Representatives from multiple countries are present. The world is no longer looking away. His story crosses borders. His struggle inspires art, music, and resistance, including the song Biko by Peter Gabriel. Turning his memory into a global cry for justice, and his legacy lives on. Steve Biko did not carry weapons. He did not command armies, but he did something far more powerful. He changed the way people think. And when the mind is free, no system of oppression can survive for long. His story did not end with his death. It lives on in every person who refuses to accept injustice, in every voice that rises, in every mind that awakens. Because the true revolution begins from within.